Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Monday, February 9th, 2015, around 1:39 in the afternoon in Belleville, Massachusetts. Still snowing out. Some places in the South Shore of Massachusetts got over 24 inches, 2 feet, and snow's continuing piling up for all these storms. Records are going to be set, and it's going to get so high that eventually stop signs are going to go underneath, and then I hope we don't see power lines, the snow go up to power lines. That would be dangerous because people will lose power. Also not a good thing with the roofs collapsing. Get the snow off the roofs if you have a chance to. This snowy pattern's not going to break. Thursday and next Sunday slated for more snow. Some news to report. The San Diego Padres signed pitcher James Seal to a 4-year contract worth $75 million. It's Happy National Pizza Day in the United States, and due to this bad weather, the finals of the Beanpot Hockey Championship have been postponed into tomorrow, and also a couple of Red Line MBTA subway cars lost power because of the snow. Many of the subway cars for the red and orange line for the MBTA Transit Authority are failing because they're aging and they're old. They need, and the infrastructure in the MBTA needs to be updated completely. But the MBTA is broke, serious debt, and it could be years before major upgrades to the system will happen. And that's about it on that. My next subject is about one of the television most famous variety shows. I'm talking about The Ed Sullivan Show. The Ed Sullivan Show lasted for nearly 23 years on CBS, from June 20th, 1948 to June 6, 1971. It was a comedy, variety type show with a lot of comedy acts and also musicians and also a lot of Broadway people and opera singers and other performers. And Ed Sullivan was a New York City sports writer and entertainment writer who hosted the show. He did not tell jokes on the show. He did not perform because he was not an entertainer. He brought a lot of acts to his show, and many famous people have made their debut and had their career skyrocket by first appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show. The first guests on The Ed Sullivan Show were Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis and Monica Lewis and Richard Rogers, among others. And originally The Ed Sullivan Show was taped at Maxine Elliott Theater on Broadway and 39th Street in New York City. Then a few years later, it was filmed at CBS TV Studios in Broadway and 53rd Street, which those CBS TV studios are now renamed the Ed Sullivan Theater. And The Ed Sullivan Show was originally known as the toast of the town for about 7 years, and it ran from 8 to 9 p.m. Sunday nights on CBS for many years. It was a big hit for CBS. 19 out of 23 years The Ed Sullivan Show was on the air. It ranked in the top 20 consistently. Some of the musical acts that appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show over the 23 years it was on the air, such musicians as Elvis Presley, the Beatles, the Supremes, the Dave Clark Five, the Beach Boys, the Janis Joplin, Rolling Stones, Mamas and the Papas, the Doors, the Jackson 5, so many others, Wayne and Schuster, who were a Canadian rock group. Wayne and Schuster appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show more times than any musician, comedian, or any other guest. They appeared a record 58 times. Amazing. Also, a lot of comedians appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, and a lot of them got their big break by first appearing on The Ed Sullivan Show. Such comedians as Joan Rivers, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, the Smothers Brothers, Flip Wilson, Bill Cosby, Nipsey Hussle, and so many others. And also, there was a lot of African American entertainers who appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show a lot. Usually in the 50s and 60s, a lot of African Americans did not really appear on variety shows, but Ed Sullivan had a lot of them a lot of African American entertainers anyway, and that was good for that. It helped them to get breaks in Hollywood or Broadway musicals or whatever. And also from 1966 through 1971, usually the Jim Henson's Muppet characters appeared quite frequently on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they were ratings winners a lot. A lot of the audience loved to see the Muppets on the Ed Sullivan Show and stuff, and a lot of people loved watching the Ed Sullivan Show. It was like a Sunday night tradition. First 17 years, the Ed Sullivan Show was on the air from 1948 through 1965. It was broadcast in black and white. But by 1965, it started a show. They started to film it in color. And by the late 1960s, a lot of the executives of CBS really didn't like the direction that CBS was going with their programming, because there was a lot of aging shows on the network, and the suits at CBS says they wanted to get rid of so many shows that were aging because of the demographics, and one of those shows that they really wanted to phase out was the Ed Sullivan Show, even though it was a popular show and it was still in the top 20 for television shows. Ed Sullivan really didn't like that, because he said he wanted to keep the show as long as he was living, because it was a great money maker and stuff like that, and it was still getting ratings. But CBS really wanted to get rid of it, and by 1971, CBS pulled the plug on the Ed Sullivan Show. They were going to stop production on it in June of 1971, but Ed Sullivan was so mad about that, he said he was going to stop production. He was not going to host any more of it, the Ed Sullivan Show, by the end of March of 1971. The last original broadcast of the Ed Sullivan Show was March 28, 1971, and the guests were Melody, Joanne Simon, Danny Davis, and the Nashville Boys, and Sando and Yun. And that was the last original Ed Sullivan Show produced. The reruns of the Ed Sullivan Show went on for another 2 months until June 6, 1971, which was the last Ed Sullivan Show ever on CBS. It got canceled, but CBS over the years had 8 primetime specials documenting the Ed Sullivan Show from 1973 to like the late 1990s, and these were like Ed Sullivan specials, like the best of Ed Sullivan Show, and they had like a special about comedians and musicians and Christmas time, and they were all big ratings winners for CBS when they showed these specials, which was pretty amazing. Ed Sullivan passed away in 1974, and reruns of the Ed Sullivan Show appeared from time to time on PBS, edited versions. Usually many of them were like the color episodes from 1965 through 1971. A lot of those early Ed Sullivan shows back in the 40s, 50s, and early 60s that were in black and white were wiped out. Some of them were saved, but the majority of them were wiped out, taped over. And I think in 1992-93 season they had a syndicated like reruns of the Ed Sullivan Show on syndication, and they have like DVDs of the Ed Sullivan Show, the best of it with the comedians and stuff like that. The Ed Sullivan Show is probably the best variety show of all time that's ever aired on television. 23 years is a long time to be on television for a show, and it was one of the best like variety talk shows of all time. And Ed Sullivan was a great host. Some people mimicked him when he would always do this, always do that, and he got mimicked a lot by the comedians, especially Johnny Carson. And that's about it on the Ed Sullivan Show. Well, I'll be back later. Facebook friends, YouTube followers, Twitter followers, Daily Motion, with the last video blog about Pro Football Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor and my personality profile. And I'm going to have to be shoveling snow in a couple more minutes. It's not a great task. I wish I was in sunny Orlando, Florida. That's the same town, the city that Julie Broughton, Local 6 traffic reporter and weather lady, lives. I'm a Julie Broughton guy. See you later, Facebook, YouTube, Daily Motion, and Twitter. See you tonight.